Okay, so story time with me and Kitty. So basically, Kitty, like, you'll like this story because it's about rats, and it was back when I didn't have a cat, Kitty. So basically, I lived above a Chinese restaurant. Okay, yeah, don't fall asleep too much of a deep sleep, try and listen to me. So basically, I had a restaurant. No, not I had a restaurant, I do apologise, Kitty, that's not part of the story. Basically, okay, get yourself comfortable so I can tell you the story. So basically, I was new to Canada and I was desperate for a place to rent. So I accepted a room with no access to a kitchen, but with a washroom. At the time, it was back in 2018. And it was $600 a month. I found it on Kijiji. And basically, Kitty, it was $600 a month, all inclusive, Wi-Fi. Yeah, Wi-Fi. Yeah, it had Wi-Fi. But it was highly illegal. But being new to the country, I wasn't really thinking about laws and what rental properties were illegal and not illegal. So cut a long story short, I gave the lady $600 first and last. And I had no idea how horrific it was going to be. I moved in. I bought a beautiful bath mat, beautiful shower curtains. Thought, I'll be here a while. I found a job just down the road. It was part-time, but it was good. I was determined to find a job in the mall nearby. And I found a job very easily, actually, because there was lots of stores. I went in person to hand in my resume. I didn't bother trying to do it online. This was back in 2018, so maybe it was a bit easier to find work. Okay, kids? And so I did find a job. Went to the interview. She said, great interview. You're going to be a great work employee here, because it was a customer service job. And then she said, the only thing that's weak is your handshake. She said, yeah. She said that was the issue, Kitty, was my handshake. She said I didn't have a very good handshake. So basically, I moved in, had very little with me. I think I had a suitcase at the time. And I sleep with an eye mask, Kitty. Like, you know how now I sleep with an eye mask and earplugs? Well, back then, same situation. I sleep with an eye mask and earplugs so that I can block out any noise. And I used to live in Toronto, so it was very noisy with like traffic. Very illegal place, very small window. Like, it just wasn't the vibe, do you know what I mean? But I was desperate and I thought, for $600, I'm a single person. If I've got to live above a Chinese restaurant, so be it. Like, it might be convenient if I ever need to get takeaway. I was on a very busy road, plenty of stores around. I didn't have a vehicle. So it's quite convenient, actually. So I moved in, I wiped down all the floors. I cleaned the bathroom. I was really making myself quite comfortable. And I've handed over $1,200. She was willing to give me, she did give me a receipt, a written receipt. I didn't e-transfer. I think I gave her cash, Kitty. I gave her cash. So I used to give her cash. Highly illegal place, Kitty, but at the time, I just wasn't aware. So basically, moved in, thought everything was happy as Larry. I was determined to make it work, all on my own in a new city. Then there was one night, I didn't put my earplugs in. And I heard like this noise, Kitty. Like, I've got very good hearing, a bit like you. And I heard like sort of noise. And I thought, what the fuck is that? Like, what is that noise? So I just ignore it. And then another night happens where I hear that sound again. And I'm like, oh my God, because I don't come from living in environments where I could possibly see any animals, right? So basically, after all the biting, in the middle of the night, one night, the next night after that, I saw this big black thing right at my head. Right at my head when I took my eye mask off. Like, right at my head, ready to attack me. So I jumped up. And the next day I said to the landlord, like the landlady, I said, there's rats. I saw a rat. I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't cope with this situation. Now, Kitty, if you had been around those times, I'm sure you would have been able to deal with it. But it was just me, myself and I. And she said, no, it's just a mouse. She's like, it's probably just a mouse. I said, no, I've never seen a mouse that's this big and black. And it was massive. And I was petrified. So then after that, she gave me a bunch of glue traps. And glue traps are very, very... Yeah, kids, I'm talking about glue traps. So glue traps are very, very bad. Like, they're very, very bad, glue traps. Because I think they're illegal, actually, in Canada to have glue traps. Because the thing is the animals would gnaw off their own arms and stuff to escape them. So, but she was so, nonchalant about it. At the time, I didn't realise that she was probably well aware of the issue. And she just didn't care. Like, she expected... And I was so naive. I didn't realise that restaurants would have so many rats. And, like, living above a restaurant is just asking for a problem. Right, Kitty? Like, literally asking for a problem. So she put glue traps outside my door. But the problem is, there's no other exit and entrance. So I would have to literally... Every morning, there'd be a different rat or baby rat on the glue trap right outside my door. Not very hygienic. So I threw out a lot of my stuff and I planned to leave because I was like, I was not sleeping because these fucking rats, they're all in the walls. And after seeing a big one at my head, I was like, I can't do this because I wasn't sleeping at night, Kitty. I wasn't able to sleep. And so it was getting really stressful and really hard to cope. So it's like, what do I do? Like, I need an escape from this stress. So I downloaded an app because I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll find somebody with money. Maybe I'll find a rich man and I'll be able to escape this life. I'll be able to escape the rats. And you've got to think, I wasn't sleeping very well, so I wasn't thinking very clearly. And I only had a part-time job, so I didn't have the savings to just find another place to rent. And $600 for your own space, like your own washroom. I had a bathtub too. In downtown, like not really downtown Toronto, but like near downtown, in a good area. No, it was actually a bad area, very bad area. But it was a convenient area to get to downtown. So it was quite convenient to live there, like the proximity to different things. So anyhow, I said to the landlady, I said, this is ridiculous. But she was like, no. And every day she would come and she would get the glue traps and then they'd just disappear. So I don't know what she would do, whether she... Because they were still alive. This is the sick thing about it. It's these rats, Kitty. Like, might have cared or might not cared. But these rats would still be alive. So anyways, back to downloading the app. I thought, you know what? I'll take my mind off everything. And I'll go on dates and see if I can find somebody to help me. So I matched with this one guy. Yeah, Kitty, I did match with somebody. I did actually get a match. And he basically picked me up. But the problem was that very morning, there was a baby rat caught on one of the glue traps. And all the other times, I think they'd been like big, fuck off adult rats. And I felt so sorry because as a woman, if you hear something innocent keep crying... Do you understand what I'm saying, kids? If you hear like a cry, like a baby noise, like as if a baby's crying, instinctively, I don't know about all women, but for myself, I don't know if it's like a mother instinct. Do you know what I mean, kids? Where like you feel like a mother type of vibe, where you feel like you've got to protect whatever creature it is, whether it's a rat, a mouse, like you feel bad. And so... there was a baby rat caught on the trap outside my door, crying all morning. So basically what I did was I messaged this guy to come pick me up and we were meant to go to a restaurant. And remember, I'm very sleep deprived, so I looked better those times. Like, I didn't have as much weight on me because I was pretty healthy. Like, I drank a lot of water. Like, I was younger those times. This is back in 2018. And so the guy picked me up and I said to him, I've got to do something. And he's like, what have you got to do? And I was like, don't judge me. I was like, but I've literally got like a problem. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, I've got a baby rat no, literally, Kitty, can you just listen to what I'm saying? I was like, can you just, yeah, I know. Stop acting like you're not interested. You know, as soon as I say rats, you're thinking about how you would have attacked them. So it was a baby rat, and I said to the guy, like, why'd you keep moving? Listen to me, Kitty, listen. So I said to him, there's a baby rat on a glue trap. It's still alive and it keeps crying. And the thing is these type of animals will chew off their own legs to get away, or its mum's gonna come and get trapped too, or I just don't know what to do. So I said to him, I've Googled it, which I did. This was back before it was like ChatGPT days, and like Google wasn't always the answer those times. But I knew instinctively that I couldn't just allow it to suffer as a baby rat. And the crying and the crying and the crying really was quite stressful. So I put it in a shoebox. I'm aware that they have diseases, I'm aware. And this Tinder date guy, I said to him, I need us to drive far away with this baby rat on a glue trap in a box. And those times I didn't have a lot of money. I still don't, but like Kitty, those times I really didn't have a lot. And so I said to him, I took a bottle of, because those times I was trying to be healthy, so even if I didn't have a kitchen, I would still like cut, well, no wonder I had bloody rats, but I was very clean, very hygienic. But regardless, if you live above a restaurant, you're going to have problems. And I basically used to make salads, because you didn't need, I had a fridge, they had put a fridge in the unit, so I did have a fridge, but I didn't have like a stove. I tried to use like one of those plug-in camper stoves, but then the electric kept shutting down and it was like guaranteed to have a fire, and I had a very small window. So I just used to make like salads or have food like tuna, yeah, I had lots of tuna those times, stuff that I could easily eat without cooking or a lot of meal prep, right? So I used to do a lot of salads, and I used to buy like the really expensive, I don't now, but the really expensive olive oil stuff, like probably $20 a bottle, because I thought that was the best thing to do those times. I was a bit younger, so I guess I was just, you know, thinking I knew everything that I did was the right thing to do, right? And so it said online that the only way to get this baby rat off a glue trap was to like soak it in oil. So all that I had was this $20 bottle of oil that I used to use for my salads. So I got this guy to drive me to a remote field. Remember, this guy's a stranger, so it probably wasn't the best idea to get him to drive me to a remote field. But I just took the risk because I didn't want to contact the landlady and her dispose of this baby rat. So I drenched it in oil, my whole bottle of oil. He strangely filmed it. Back in those days, there wasn't really TikTok, I don't think, and there wasn't really much of a hype with filming and putting stuff online, but he still decided to film me. And so I drenched the rat in oil, and then it let the baby rat loose, and it ran away into the field. And he was like, well, it's gonna come back. And I thought, so that's what happened, Kitty. I let the baby rat go. The issue was, after that, they non-stop kept coming, so I had no choice but to leave. And as for the guy that took me on a date, he took me to a restaurant. I said to him, I'm sleep deprived, I've got no makeup on, I don't really want to go like fine dining, but he still took me to a restaurant with no makeup on. And I said, oh, I look terrible. And then we went back to his house, because obviously I've got rats and God knows what at mine. And then he was like, I've got work in the morning. And I was like, oh, okay, fair play. Oh, you know, I've just realised it was my birthday the next day as well. So this was in April. So my birthday was the very next day. And I said to him, oh, it's my birthday tomorrow, whatever. And he was like, oh, just come to my house. Like, I know you're not sleeping at your house. And then, Kitty, maybe it's a bad idea. I don't know what you think, Kit. Maybe it's a bad idea to go back to a guy's house. Because what happened was, it was probably, we were having a few drinks, because back then, like, I was a bit younger, like, I'd have a few drinks. And he said to me, like, he was trying to put moves on me, and I was like, oh, you know what, I'm very sleep deprived, I'm not thinking right. Like, at the end of the day, if you meet a girl and she asks you to rescue a baby rat the first day you meet her, like, and she lives above a Chinese restaurant, like, you would think, like, what is going on, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, this girl might be a bit all over the show sort of thing, right? But either way, so what happened was, oh, sorry, I haven't finished, Kitty. So either way, what happened was, he then said to me, put the moves on me. I was like, no, just because you take me to a restaurant and help save a baby rat, it doesn't mean like I'm gonna put out on a first date or whatever. And you know, I made that pretty clear. So then this guy lived like over a highway. I was like, are you gonna drive me home? Because in the morning he had work. And so he was driving on the highway, and then he was like, turned really nasty. And he was like, yeah, I should never have taken you to your restaurant. You did look a mess. You were right by saying you should have worn makeup. You were an absolute mess. You look terrible. And I was like, that's funny, because then afterwards you like invite me to your house, whatever. And then I said to him, like, I made it very clear, like, I wasn't looking for something short term, blah blah blah. And then that's when he switched, because he was like, I was like, you're not even like, because he wasn't that good looking, and like, I know I can hardly talk, but it's just funny how usually it's the ugly guys that get really nasty. Well, the good looking ones can too, but this guy wasn't exactly a 10 out of 10. And back then I did look better, so do you know what I mean? And he was like, I said to him, like, it's not like you're Drake. Like, who do you think you are, expecting like women to just do what you want? Like, after you don't even know them 24 hours. Like, that's, you know, like, you should have got a prostitute or something. And then he was like, he literally dropped me on the highway. He was like, I'm not driving you home, drop me on the highway. And then luckily I managed to get an Uber, because they're not supposed to stop, because it was such a long time ago, I can't remember. Yeah, I was agitated too, Kitty. I was very agitated. So he dropped me on the highway, and it was my birthday. And then I got an Uber home, and then I completely deleted his number. I thought I blocked him. And then a couple of weeks later, who messages me? Oh, I made a mistake. How are you? Thought, no, already moved on. Well, I didn't move on. I was still stuck with the bloody rat situation. I did move out not long after that. But yeah, that's my story time, Kitty. When I went on a date with a guy, left me on the highway just because he helped me save a baby rat, and because I said, I don't think you look like Drake. Yeah. What do you think about it, kids? Very, very bad. I've got more story times to come.